Hi, everybody. It's season 2, episode 17. And yes, once again, we're here with Gary. I know. And once more, fresh from her full appointment now to chair of the UKCMA, we have got Anne Chebib. Yes, we have. And Annie's here to talk to us today about some excellent developments that have happened in recent weeks, and the success of them with regards to safer venues, safe places, safer spaces. Yeah, I'll let Annie tell you. It's easier that way. Gary, quick word. You've been busy, haven't you?
I have been in. I've been away for a little while doing some my EMT course, and I've been working, and I've been currently away for the last, I don't know, 10, 12, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I've been away. I've been away. There you go.
Yeah, and it's all been operational.
Yes, sir.
And doing CPD.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Yes, I've done things like that. I've not really done anything. I've had fun, but that's the great bit about me. But let's move straight on to the star, the absolute star of our show, Annie. Please tell us how things are going.
Hello, Ian. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Things are going well. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, being perfectly honest, Ian. I've had to take the occasional breath every so often, but generally it's been a really lovely few weeks. So I think we saw each other last not so long ago, but it does feel like quite a long time ago because quite a lot has happened since then. So and we obviously have had the conference. We've got the appointments are in for the vice chairs and the chairs roles. So we've been finding our feet a little bit at UKCMA with the new board structure. That's been a big part of the last few weeks, is getting sort of that all ironed out, making sure everybody's got their roles, everyone knows what they're doing, and spending a lot of time in meetings. We're in handover almost with some of these sort of bigger projects that we've got at the moment. Very excited about the new documentation that's come out, and we began to sort of hint at that, didn't we, last time we were speaking? Yeah. So now that's out, we can talk a little bit about that today. So all in all, great. Thank you for asking.
Is it a world? I mean, you know, to be thrust into the limelight like this, is it? Do you have to stop and take a breath? Because because I did read, that you've got 3 fellows now, Dawn, Eric, and Mark, etc. I think to all of a sudden that, hang on a second, that's me, that is, as well.
One day I'll be a fellow of the UKCMA, is that what we're saying?
No, but do you know what I mean? To suddenly find yourself there. Because I think, and the reason I'm asking, Annie, on a serious note, is because we all know that the EDI piece, is not, it's not properly developed. It's nowhere near as good as it should be. So therefore, to have a woman, take this role on, as it were, and to be there, do you not think that it's inspirational for others as well?
I'd love to know it was a little bit inspirational for other people, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It goes without saying that's an action rather than words piece, right? That's about what it inspires people to do. I think we have a long way to go. I think this is about advocating over a much longer period than it is about just taking on a title of chair. I think I've got some really big shoes to fill. I think, you look back on the old chairs of the UKCMA, Mick Upton, Mark Harding, Eric Stuart, these are really important, powerful people in the industry and who earned their place at the table there. And I think, for me, I think I've always been in the background a little bit, because as secretary for 15 years, I've always been sort of sitting behind whoever's been chair in that period and working with them to support them, to make sure things go in on time. And actually, I think in a way, I think that can be a harder job, being secretary, because you're actually doing a lot of the real work, right? You're not necessarily just running around kissing babies' heads. You're actually doing you're doing all of the work, and with that, it's quite a change for me, I think, from that side to go, okay, this role is now about facilitation of others. It's now about empowering other people to do things, about being a spokesperson more than being behind the scenes. So it's kind of like suddenly you kind of get pushed into a different set of skills that you need for doing the job. So I'm always conscious of the fact that I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be as good as my predecessors were, but also to do it differently and to bring a different take to the role, because I think there's more that I can offer in a different way to others before me in the role. So, I think we've got some really big pieces around diversity coming up, which I'm really excited about in terms of trying to get more people to understand about the need for DE&I, to get more people at the board level, who are giving us a diverse impact to the industry as a whole. And I think, that is will be a big thing we need to achieve over a number of years. That isn't going to happen tomorrow when we click our fingers. So, there's a lot of work to be done still. But it feels amazing to be appointed. It feels amazing to have a really amazing team of people behind me in terms of the vice chairs. There's now lots of people who are vested in the UKCMA at quite a senior level, who are taking everything from mentoring to diversity to stakeholder engagement to, you name it, every single strand is being covered and supported by a vice chair. So I owe them a massive amount of thanks for their voluntary time as well.
So would you say, and it's not a thing, this is evolution. It's part of an evolution. I mean, I'm not going to say you're the first female Doctor Who equivalent or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But it is, when you're talking about those people, Mick Upton, Mark Harding, Eric Stuart, this does feel very much like a generational, evolutionary sort of change. Is that what you're hoping to do?
I think it's part of a journey that the UKCMA goes on. I don't think you can see it as a moment in time. I think you have to see it as a series of moments in time which get us to where we want to be as an industry, to professionalize the industry, to improve it in every way. So I think that the job's probably never done, but there's also some amazing trailblazing women now coming through in the industry. So, Satia at IPSA, you've got you've got Ruth, who does UK DSA. You've got a lot of women who are now standing in those roles, and the International Women's Day conference that was put on really demonstrates that there's a real appetite for that in the industry. So, coming at from that point, I don't think I'm the only woman who's trailblazing at the moment. I think there are a number of people who at different levels are doing that. If I can play a small part in that, then I'm very happy to do so. But it's also got to be about getting the UKCMA to where it is not only celebrating the fact I'm a woman, but looking at what the industry needs. We should be focusing on what the industry needs and wants, not necessarily who's leading, but how they're leading. What they're leading is what's important, really, to me.
Yeah. The astonishment shouldn't be an astonishing, as you said, that you are a woman. It should just be, oh, here's Annie. She's the new chair. It should just be matter of fact.
I would love it to one day be matter of fact.
Yeah.
I would love that to be where we end up, because actually it should be, and we shouldn't be batting an eyelid at that, right? We should be focusing on what the issues are. But I'm glad, I'm really delighted that it's helping. I'm really delighted if it empowers people, if it inspires people, whatever that might do. That's a wonderful thing. It's a lovely legacy, right?
Well, I think so. It's certainly Vanessa's doing her bit, isn't she?
Exactly.
Definitely, she's out there doing it every week. Every weekend, she's out there in the charge. She's running the company. She's out on the ground. I mean, her experience is now over 30 years worth of experience. Yeah. So definitely, I mean, would be nice to see. It would like to see more females on the ground. That's what would be a pleasure, and that's what we don't have enough of. Because they play an important role, especially out there on the ground.
Yeah. And I think there's two levels. I think there's the on the ground level, and then there's a board table level. And I really want to see more women at board level. I think there are women like Heather and Michelle at the SIA who are again trailblazing in that direction as well, where there are women who are in charge of the government departments that are regulating what we do. You know, you know, more of that, please, as well. You know, from us, and you know, not only as a woman, but as, you know, someone who has mixed heritage, someone who, you know, I think we're just starting a diversity DE&I strategic group at the UKCMA, which we put together people from all different walks of life who represent different things, some of whom are DE&I experts, some of whom are industry experts, some of which do a bit of both. And I really can't wait to see where that takes us, where the strategy leads us. I definitely want to get a briefing sheet, really simple briefing sheet, out to people about diversity, about the language to use, about all of the right things that staff should be doing, and access through our members, tens of thousands of staff, both stewards and security, to whom they could easily be given that information, you know, free to access information publicly. For me, is about the key for this, and you know, training. But then there's also the representation at board level and on the ground, which is another sort of big thing we need to work on. But the future, I think, feels that we're actually going to be able to focus on it for the first time as a really important issue at the UKCMA. So that's a project I am really excited about at the moment.
I think you're absolutely right, Annie. You know, when you look at the diversity, and we do have a very, by the way, as you will well know, the stats show that we actually are one of the most diverse sectors across in any industry, which is great news. But we really do need to be able to widen the pool of people and bring in those talents, many different talents that can actually help us enhance the sector and make it a more welcoming space for women to go and feel, yeah, this is good. I can do this. I can be someone. I can get somewhere. I can have a career. Anyway.
I wonder though how much of that is, like, when you look at security and stewarding as a whole, how much of this is about actually career paths as a whole, and the fact that it's actually quite difficult to make a career out of doing this. You can be, you know, to make a career at a top level is a really difficult thing to do. It's not an easy, you know, it's not an easy job to run a company. Vanessa will speak to that. I'll speak to that. Any business owner in security will speak to that. So actually creating career paths has got to be the first part of that. And to us, I think at the UKCMA, starting a mentoring, a decent mentoring program will support and help with that new talent, fostering new talent, with all of that work that needs to be done to show people that there actually is a career path in this industry. That's not just about you get stuck working on the door, or you don't, you know, there's nowhere to progress, you know, you know, and I don't mean just stuck working on the door, because I think working on the door is one of the harder jobs in the industry, if you ask me. You know, that's almost much harder than sitting at a board table and negotiating with government. I know, having done both, I know which set of skills it needs for that. You know, and you know, you have to have your wits about you every second you're working on the door. No question about it. You cannot let your guard down at any point in those, you know, in that evening that you're working. So I think this is about career, like understanding career progression, wider career progression, and then being able to foster new talent through mentoring into recognised career paths. So I think that's what we really need to
do. Gary, have you got any points?
The point is, I mean, we go right back to what Annie just said. I mean, there needs to be a more decent career path. There is two lines to this. You know, you're either going in somewhere for a female in upper level, or they can be just stuck at the security level, and they don't tend to go up that next stage. Maybe in the corporate world, they might end up doing a management position, and might end up going for that way. But it is hard for a woman to go up that line, which is a shame, really.
I think it's true as well. I mean, I saw Tony Clark on at the Retail Risk Conference, and we had the government minister, Chris Phipps, was there, and he had a young lady looking after him who was black. She was fetching we bumped into her while he was fetching, well, she was fetching his a bun for him, you know, getting him a cake and a cup of tea. So me and Tony, who by the way is black as well, for all those people who can't see him at the moment, we were laughing that Tony was the only other black person in the room other than other than her at the time. So in this, you've got like 60 or 70 people sat in this room. They're all heads, and there's only Tony there that's black. And as he said, that's the way it's always been for him, in this industry. So, that ability for us to create opportunity in space has got to be taken forward. But Annie, I'm sorry to pull this bit to a thing, but we actually, tell us about how's it going with the old download you give the proper title, because I know I'll get it wrong.
Download, that's festival, isn't it? So
Oh, is it?
it is, yeah.
I don't do those things.
So the safer crowd, safer venues guidance, which is not intended as guidance yet, so but we keep calling it that.
Yeah.
Basically supporting documentation for the UK for licensed premises under arena size. That's what it is. It came out under www.safercrowdsafervenues.com, which is where you can download it from. So if we can put that in the chat, that would be really lovely for anyone who hasn't yet downloaded it. As promised, it's free to download. You just need to put your details in, and we're asking people not to share copies, because obviously what we want to do is make sure that we capture everybody on the database, to be able to give people updates as they come in. So an important thing is for everybody to go on independently and do it. So it has been what I think we can term a outstanding success so far. It's had over 1,000 downloads in 2 weeks. That's probably some people like me downloading it 5 times, but mainly on the whole, definitely over 1,000, and a few more. And then we've had quite a lot of great press as well, thanks to Michael Kill at NTIA, who has a remarkable ability to get the press to print things that not many people do. And Michael's managed to get the word out to a lot of really good press outfits. And so there's been lots of really nice uptake of that. So I think that hopefully is helping spread the word alongside all of the socials. Again, it's powerful because we've got NTIA, UKCMA and Live all doing it. So it really is by the industry, for the industry. It's, it is by multiple associations who are working together to make it happen, over 50 authors and editors, all of which have, what I love is that everybody's taken a bit of ownership over it. So now it's out. All those people are very proud that they've been involved in it. And I think have been proud through the process to have been involved, which is a wonderful feeling, because it's not owned by any one person. It's owned by 3 associations, 50 authors. I mean, it's quite a feat to take that on in 8 months. We've done it, and I'm totally proud of everybody who was involved. So that's where we are.
Oh, there you go, Gary. How many times have you downloaded it?
So now you put me on the spot, Ian, because we've already explained to Annie I wasn't able to download it, and you sent me a copy, and we've already agreed. So thanks for doing that, Ian.
I downloaded it twice, Annie. That's what I did. It's all right,
You can put your details in next time. So
sorry,
But I think there's a way to go with this document as well. We're not there yet. We mentioned on the last time we spoke that in September we're doing a full rewrite of it. I think Ian, you spoke to the customer journey and the need to look at the narrative around that. I think that's really pertinent to what needs to happen with the document. So its usability increases. That it becomes more authoritative in terms of guidance rather than what we have at the moment, which is a series of kind of essays by authors. It's still, but I would much rather we put out a version 1, replace with a version 2 in September, than nothing goes out and we still have the vacuum. So, I think it's a journey, another journey we need to go on.
That's interesting. It's just touch on, because touching on that, we talked briefly before we came on air, folks. Thing is we spoke briefly about the customer journey, and the thing we talked about. Do we feel safer? Which experience matters? The customer feeling safer. Are they safer, or do they feel safer? And which is the right way?
Well, this is a big academic debate, isn't it? It's what's actually important here? Is it perception of safety or is it intrinsic safety? You know, and there's some really quite well documented things about that. And, you know, involvement for me in Fatboy Slim on Brighton Beach, it has been really interesting to see the essays that have come out about the perception of safety around that particular event. You know, when we had, you know, we had the tide coming in, we had a lot of people in a very small space. The density was way over what it should have been in those spaces, and then the size of the site was shrinking. You know, but actually for many people that were there, they felt safe because their perception and understanding of what the actual safety was. But both matter actually, because perception of safety is what creates psychology, and intrinsic safety is what we know we need to do to objectively ensure the public are safe. So I think that both of those things need to be balanced. But it's a really interesting academic debate to me about which is more important. How do you balance those two?
Sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, we're looking at it operationally, but we're looking at feedback from Google reviews and bits and pieces we have. And I think people want to feel safe. They want to know they feel safe. And I've looked at some of the stuff over the years on venues we worked, and people have stated they have not felt safe in certain like crowded situations. And why haven't they felt safe? They haven't felt safe because the right barriers are not being in place, or there haven't been enough security or stewards in place. And when you're putting those things in play, when you've got those, you know, your risk assessment, and you're trying to outline those areas, they feel safe when everything is looking good and feeling perfect, and they can move smoothly from A to B without aggravation. And if there is something happens, someone starts pushing in the crowd, someone could be dealt with and someone could be spoken to, rather than they're just stuck in a big long Disney, i.e. Disneyland, and they're just going dun, dun, dun. Whereas if you've got the right people in place and you can interact, and you're there and you're speaking to them, and they have an understanding, well, maybe why is the queue so slow? Why is it taking so long? What is the hold up between A to B? Well, you know, I've been here for an hour, you know, and it has been, people have been in queues. We know people will queue for hours if need be. But if you're trying to get into a venue and you've got the right people in place and the right systems in place, and you've got that understanding, and you can say, well, we're just running a bit slow, or the promoters are running a bit slow, or there's a scanning problem, and you've communicated to people, they start to feel safe, they feel relaxed on that point. So I think it's very important to have both in play.
100% agree. And I think, you know, communication is really key. I love wait time signage when you've got long queues. You know, I love that it'll take you 10 minutes from this point. It's, you know, and it only takes you 8 minutes from that point. You know, that's the right kind of signage to me. Represents what, you know, that you're going to exceed those customers' expectations. You know, the all of that stuff matters, you know, and actually it's only a piece of card on a stake. It's not, you know, this isn't hard stuff. This isn't, you know, this doesn't need to cost a lot of money.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of my favorite ones is I like to time from some of the events what the time is from the moment they arrive at the, let's say, search table, through the search table to the scanning table to the ticket area. And on one of the venues we use, I mean, we can process 20 people a minute.
Yes.
And having that information to pass back and just say to people, well, how long does it take? Well, you know, to process people 20 people a minute, subject to, but that gives you a rough idea of how long you're going to be in that queue. So, you know, you might be here 45 minutes, or you might be 30 minutes. It all depends on the person at the back. Or the person that's scanning.
So the searches, you know, there's like other things which are slowing up that process. You know, a lot of the time, how big is it? You know, how many pinch points have you got into your entrances? You know, there's lots of topographical and, you know, geographical reasons why, you know, queues take longer. What you don't want to do is leave people outside the venue for too long, because they're the ones who are at more risk than if they've been through the search lane. So again, when, you know, looking at search ratios, you know, when we're writing our plans, do we decrease the search ratio if there's a risk on the outside to the venue, and increase it when we haven't got that risk? How do we, you know, how do we manage flexible search ratios when the police want to see 1 in 5 being searched? You know,
right.
It's really interesting listening to it, because, you know, because I can come in now, because obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. But the point is what you've touched on, both of you, in that interesting segment there, is that it's all about communication. It's always about communication. It doesn't matter what size of queue you're using, you know, where you are, whether it's, you know, going out. As an aside, I used to work, believe it or not, in a kebab shop So hey, yeah, obviously I've done loads of things. I mean, my brother-in-law, he had, Turkish, so he had a kebab shop, and I went and worked there at the weekend. And the system that they had to get people in and out was absolutely amazing. Nobody got a chance to stop. And when I said, "Why do you do it like this?" he said, "I don't want them fighting inside."
Fair enough.
He said they can go and fight outside. He said, but all I want them to do is come in, get the kebab and chips or whatever, and be gone. Yeah, and be outside, etc. And that's it. So I think that bit about communicating clearly what's going to happen to you tonight as a customer now that you're here is really important. I mean, that's I think what I was trying to get at when we talked about the customer experience and in that feeling safe.
And actually, for me, it comes for pre-event as well as during event. I don't think it starts. And this starts when someone buys a ticket and the information that they're given. How clear is that information? What's on the website? And particularly when you're doing open access events without tickets, things like websites and apps become really, really important, right? Because you haven't got a way of communicating with your audience other than, and what we do at Select, the majority of what we do is actually open access. So, we're not always as lucky as those, people who've got a ticket holding audience that they can press one button and everybody gets the email.
Yeah.
So you have to be really good with your socials. You have to be really good with your website. Everything, pre-comms to an event are as important as during event comms. But both need processes and systems. For me, this isn't only about communications. This is about the process and system behind the infrastructure, the comms, the which create the public experience.
The backstage.
Yeah, for sure. And where we're all more comfortable, actually. You find people in the industry are generally more comfortable in that place.
I suppose, given the time, Gary, I think we ought to ask about vice chairs, because we've gone from how many vice chairs does it take to run an organisation? There's everybody I met when I was there. Oh, what are you? I'm a vice chair. I mean, Gary could be vice chairs if you like.
Not for another 2 years, you couldn't.
Oh, right, blimey.
Unless someone puts their hands up in despair and says, "I'm done," in which case it'll be. But no, I think we're in a wonderful place with this. So I was joking with Eric the other day because it was really two of us and a little bit of help from our friends for years. And I was sort of saying to Eric, it's taking 8 to 10 people to fill your shoes, mate. But each of those people has their own kind of strand of business representation. They have their own skill set. So, you've got one person who deals with NPCC and the police, for example. You have another person there who's dealing with sports grounds, another who's dealing with fostering new talent, diversity and mentoring. So everybody's got their own strata of business, and their stakeholder representation sort of reflects the kind of areas of work that they're doing. So that's all settling down beautifully with, and I could list the names, but they know who they are. There's 8 board members from vice chairs and secretary, and then there is 2 new member representatives who are there just to make sure that the new members, the smaller companies, people who haven't been in the association long, are getting a fair crack at the whip and a fair say, because we've always been accused of being a bit of an old boys club. So I think that the aim of that is to make sure that people know that we're open to, we're open and there for those members as well. So there are people whose key job is to represent the interests of those people. So it's really good. We're having lots of meetings at the moment to get things handed over. It's really exciting. But yeah, still taking a lot more people. I think you don't realize kind of how much you've built it up that everybody has to inherit these different parts of it before you realize, okay, yeah, this is a growing thing that we need to, we need the sustainability of having the growth, the ability to grow for the association. So this is what this gives us.
It's always fun. It's always fun. I've always found with organisations though that as with growth, then everybody, there is always, you can't help it because it's human beings. they, you know, they want to, their voice needs to be heard. And it doesn't matter which part of the circle or segment it is of the circle, they all are doing everything they can, aren't they, to do a great job. But they, you know, they need, everybody needs to feel heard. I mean, that I would imagine for you now as a UKCMA chair, you know, unlike Eric, you know, who went, oh, what shall we do today, Annie? Yeah. Now, you know, you've got to go, well, what shall we do today, Paul? You know, Darren, go round the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but what I'm doing is I'm swapping having to go to all of those meetings myself. So, you know, I've sat through, I don't countless hours of meetings over many, many years for the association. You know, at least probably 10 meetings a week on average for stakeholder representation. Now, there are other people leading on those. So instead of spending my time and energy in the direction of necessarily being the direct point of contact for those stakeholders, I now can step away from that and spend my time supporting everybody to be able to go to those meetings and for different voices to be heard. So if there's an energy and use of time piece, I think this is the better one for me at the moment to facilitate others and empower others to you know, represent the UKCMA and be proud to represent the UKCMA. I mean, how proud all of our board are is just incredible. I feel so, it's quite heartwarming, if I'm honest. You suddenly go, I'm not alone here. I'm not doing it, you know, it's not just me and Eric in silo. And it's a really nice feeling.
Well, you know, as sideshow Fox there, Gary, you know, perhaps you can tell me, you know, what am I doing next?
I don't know, sides, you tell me.
There you go.
I don't know.
Difficult. It's difficult though, isn't it, Gary, when you got all of that, you know, to try and manage all these different people and all these, and because let's face it, from what I could see, the guys that I've met and you know, and the people that I know, there ain't no there are no shrinking violets there, are they? They're not. Oh yeah, okay. You've got your work cut out.
I like a personality.
Right?
Nothing wrong with having a personality. Everyone should have one of those. Yeah. I'm glad they've all got a voice. I want them to have a voice. I want everybody to have a voice. It shouldn't be an echo chamber, and it shouldn't be something where we all agree with each other all the time. We're never going to. Actually, we've got to go as a united front to government, to stakeholders, you know, to everybody. And I think fundamentally we all want the same thing, which is safer crowds. You know, that's what we're all trying to achieve. Yeah. So ultimately the aim and how we get there will be navigatable, I believe. If that's a word,
navigator, it could be whatever. The great thing about being the chair of the UKCMA, you can invent your own language.
I know, right? It's not like we don't talk in acronyms half the time.
That's good. But just as I say, my final bit on this is that I am just seeing the way the UKCMA has developed over the last particularly over the last few years in particular, you know, and it feels much more open, more welcoming, that people are, you know, we want people to come and join us. You know, I know that whole, you know, boys club image definitely existed, and it was right at the time, if that makes sense. It was right and necessary at the time, just as the progression, that evolution, I think, is necessary now.
Lovely thing.
But Gary, are you going to join? Are you going to get Nest to join?
I thought we were members, but I've
spoken to the Guest Safety Officer Lobby Group, CIC, are members. You know, Vanessa, you know.
I can't speak for
nice, is it?
SSMRT are not. You know.
I will speak to Vanessa about it, but as I say, that's not.
Yeah, mate, I would. Look, got Annie's there.
Not very.
Don't feel under any pressure.
I am now. Now I've got to go downstairs and say something now, haven't I? Thank you.
Ian's in charge of recruitment for the UKCMA. That's it.
I don't think I'm going to be. I'm not allowed to be in charge of anything. Anyway, Gary, have you got any final words?
Yes. If you like our content, and you like the stuff we talk about, please feel free to like and subscribe. Click the link on the button below, and we're happy to pass on any information to the UK Crowd Management Association. And if you'd like to DM me for any questions, not Ian, because Ian doesn't like to be asked questions. No. We're happy to answer any questions and help you out when you need to be helped out.
Don't forget, to download.
Oh yes, don't forget to download your. Hang on, I've got to bring it back up on my phone now, so I get it right. Hang on, I've lost
it. Off.
Hang on, I'm there. I'm still there. No,
safer crowds,
safer venues. There we are.
Safer crowds, safer venues. Yeah,
and it is a good read. It is definitely a read worth.
It is actually. It is good read, and I can say that because I've read it. Anyway, Annie, your final thoughts for tonight, please.
Definitely like and subscribe. I will echo that. This is a brilliant channel, and it's lovely to see you guys again and come and have a chance to have a chat. We have got some exciting things coming up in the next few months, which we can't quite talk about yet, but I'd love to come back and talk about with you guys when we're sort of through the event season. So my request is, can I come back, please?
Yeah, of course. But when does the event season? The event season never ends.
Oh, it does. It does in my world. So yeah, August, September. We will be in a really good place to start talking about version 2 of the guidance and also some of the other exciting projects we've got coming up. So
that'll be lovely. We can always nab one of you. Can we nab one of your chairs in the interim?
Yes.
One of you, I mean, crying. How many chairs? You can't send
Which one do you want?
Pick a chair. That'll be good. And that'll
be chair. Yeah.
Or maybe even the new members guys or something like that. Anything that can help. The EDI new members that can help you. We'd love to have a chitty chat. Right. Okay, people. What can I say? It's been yet another fantastic show. Yeah, I know, Gary. Don't write to me because I don't want to know. He's going to be here. So, fortunately, Annie's done a brilliant job, as ever, in saying what's going on, and there's obviously so much more for us to hear in the coming days. Well, weeks, months, days, but we don't know. And we've got musical chairs, so we might get to get one of them at least. All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening, and peace out.